Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of our full feature Instagram bot tutorial. Today we're going to be working on an unfollow all method, which goes to your account, clicks on the following tab, and starts unfollowing people at random up to the amount that you have chosen. Before we start working on that, if we look back to the choose method we created in the last episode, there's a recursion type problem with this line here. It should actually be inside of this elif and if statement, and the quit condition just has the return. Alright, so in the previous episode, we initialized this whitelist empty list. So let's actually implement that. If we go down to create files, we're just going to copy paste one of these lines down here and change this to whitelist. Alright, that's good. And then read files, we're going to again copy paste one of these with opens. Oops. And change this to whitelist, and change this to whitelist as well. We're going to create another method called add to do not follow list, and we're just going to take this chunk of code and put it inside this method. So now we have a separate one for adding to the followed list and one for adding to the do not follow list. Now with this small change, we have to go to follow followers, scroll down here because we previously used add followed list here. And now that there's two separate methods, we're going to have to also do add do not follow list here as well. Now, since these three methods are adding or removing from the file, we're also going to do a self.read files at the end of them to update the information that we have in the code. Looking at unfollow followed, now that we added self.read files to the end of remove followed list, we won't be needing this line of code anymore because it's already updating the files every time. So we can get rid of that. And also, instead of I inside of here, we can just put 0 because we can't iterate through it like we did before, because now it's going to look at the first person in the file and then use it and then remove it, and then the second person is going to be the first one again since the first one was removed. I hope this makes sense, but this is an easy fix. Now let's start working on unfollow all. The code for this is quite similar to the code for follow followers, which we made in the previous episode, because essentially you do the same thing, right? You come to a page, you click one of these buttons, and then you cycle through the users inside of this tab. So similarly, we're gonna go to our page, and we also need how many people we're following. So to do that in one motion, we're just gonna do self.getInfo. And then we're gonna need an amount, so how many people we're going to unfollow. Let's do that as an integer, an input. Let's see how many to unfollow, and then here we could tell the user how many they're following at the moment using a parameter, and then let's do a tab character as well, and then we can format that and do self.follow ing count. Okay, that's our amount. Perfect. We could also do like a while loop like this one. So while the amount is greater than how many people, following count, how many people were following. Let's do that. It's going to ask it again. Let's just copy paste that. Perfect. Okay, now we just need to click the following tab. So we could do that like self.driver.findElement by XPath, and then inside of there we'll put the path, and then we're just going to click it. The path is just going to be the following tab. You inspect the element. I'm going to use this select an element. We're going to click the whole thing. There we go. And then copy XPath. Put it in there, change these to single quotes. Okay, that's done. Sorry, this has to be self.following count. The remainder of the code for this is going to be very similar to this chunk of code right here from follow followers, which we did in the previous episode, but let's just do it from scratch so we're comfortable with it. So we're going to need two variables, I and k. They're counter variables. I is iterating through the users inside of this tab here, and k is counting the number of successful unfollows. Okay, so we're going to have a while loop, and we're going to do while the number of successful unfollows is less than or equal to the amount that we want. We're going to first wait let's say 1 to 1.5 seconds. And then if we come over here, if we grab this entire user and grab their list element instead of the div, let's copy the XPath. Let's put that there for now. And then do the same thing for the second user and their list element, copy the XPath. You can see that they only differ by this number, and this number is only increasing by 1 every time. So to iterate through all of them, again, like before, we're just going to take the first one, create a current user, set that to self.driver.find element by XPath. And we're going to put the XPath for the first one in here, change the 1 to a parameter, format that, and put I in there, right? That's how we're going to be iterating through everything. Next, we're also going to be looking for this following button. So like before, we're going to do button is equal to, we're looking under the current user element, find elements by XPath. Okay, I don't know why it's not coming up, but we're just going to do find any button. Okay, it's just going to find the one, find elements by, okay, perfect. Then we're also going to want their name, right? So we can either add it to a file or remove it from a file. So like before, we're going to do a name equals current user, looking under that element, find element. This time we're going to do CSS selector, okay? And we're going to take the text of whatever we find. Okay, we're doing CSS selector because if you go and click on one of the names, you can see that under the class, there is always a no translate class, right? So if you go to any of them, it's always going to be no translate, and no other element has that class other than the name. So we can just look for the class, so dot no translate. Now we want to take a look at the list of buttons that it found up here because it's elements by XPath, and it wants to see that if a strictly following button exists, it should click it. Okay, so first we're going to see that the button list has something in it, so if button. We're also going to do and if the first element, the text is equal to following, and we're also going to do if the name is not in self.whitelist. Okay, so if it's in whitelist, it should just skip it. Otherwise, we're going to unfollow it. So we go inside this if block and we're going to wait. This is going to be the big wait. So I would recommend honestly 40 to 45 seconds. But for our testing purposes, let's just do 10 to 15. Then we're going to click the first element. So the button. Okay, now if the name is inside of the followed list that we have, right? So followed, I did some testing before doing this part of the code. If it's inside of this followed file, we want to remove it, right? Because now we're unfollowing it, so it shouldn't be in there anymore. So if name is inside of self.followed list, list, we're gonna do self.remove followed list name. Okay, so that removes username from file. Okay, similarly, if the name is not in self.do-not-follow list, we want to add it to this file because we just unfollowed them. We do not want to follow them again in the future. So we're going to do self.add to do-not-follow list like we just created previously, name. And again, this as username to file. Okay, and then we can just wait again 1 to 2 seconds. And then let's test it out. So if you click something, there's always going to be this pop-up inside the app for Instagram. This pop-up isn't going to come up, but inside of the browser website is going to come up. So this pop-up comes up and we're going to want to click it. So take the X path for it. Okay, for the button, copy X path. Okay, we're gonna click unfollow in the prompt. It's just gonna be self.driver.findElement by XPath. Okay, paste that in there, and then just click it. All right, and like before, we're gonna do a print statement just so we have some feedback of what's going on. We're gonna say the number, okay, the count. We're gonna say our username unfollowed their username. Okay, we're gonna format that. So the count is gonna be K. That was a voice crack. It's gonna be self.username, and it's gonna be their username. So by the end of this if block, we have unfollowed the person. So we're gonna add 1 to our successful unfollow count. We're gonna leave the if block, and so if the person was in the whitelist or anything else happened, it's gonna want to skip this person. So we're gonna wait a second, wait 1 to 1.5. Oops. Okay. Then we're gonna want to scroll down for user to be at the top of the tab. Okay. So we're just gonna do like we did before, self.driver.execute script. Okay. The script is gonna be arguments. Hopefully that'll mess this up like I did last time. Dot scroll into view semicolon. Okay, and we're gonna be putting current user into that. And finally, we can just increment our I. Okay, that's it for unfollow all. Actually, it was very similar to follow followers. That's why we got through it quick. If we go to choose now, we can add a third option. Very exciting, very exciting. I'm just gonna copy paste this. Third option, unfollow all. Kind of misleading because it's not all. You can just choose whatever you want, but and then we're gonna do another LF. If it's 3, we're gonna unfollow all. All right, perfect. Now we could test it out. Just so our testing goes by faster, let's change this to 5 and 10. And let's also go up here under get info and let's do self.read files. Okay, so when we run the method, it has all the info that it needs because of this first line. Okay, let's run it. Okay, let's unfollow all, 3. And then how many to unfollow? Let's say 5. So it opens up the tab, the prompt, and then unfollow. Perfect. And then on the next one, it should scroll down. Let's see if it does. Unfollow, and then scroll down. Perfect. Okay, let's get through the rest. All right, and that was the last one. Let's just scroll up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it didn't hit any whitelisted people. Let's close that and let's quit. Okay, let's take a note of these 5 people here. Okay, let's put it in a notepad. Okay, let's go to followed, the followed file. Let's search for these people. They should not be in here. Okay, that person's not. Oops. That person is not. Nope. All right, 2 more. Okay, and the last one, they're not as well. They should be in the do not follow list. There we go. So for, I think it's the same list. Yeah, photo, music, camera, Waller, and amazing. Perfect. So it took it out of the follow list, put it inside the do not follow, and it didn't hit any of the whitelisted people, these 3 random people. But yeah, I think it works. If it hits the whitelisted people, it will of course skip it. We can't really test that out. You never know when they're gonna pop up inside of the tab. But I hope this was an easy to follow tutorial. We did good. we made a whole method, even though it was very similar to a previous one. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have any feedback, and I'll see you guys in the next episode with some more methods.